this just all got weird. I've been over here trying to be playing nice. Over it, man.
What is it with Jamal? He acts like such a stroppy teenager. He started the fight, yet here he is acting like the victim. But while Jamal and Veronica's relationship might be on the rocks, Chantel, on the other hand, is out here making promises she won't keep to a man she barely knows.
Would you comment staying here?
It's so pretty. I'm not sure. I don't know. Are you gonna give me a reason to?
Oh, come on, guys. This isn't normal. You've only met each other 3 times. Now, on that topic of not being normal, I'll tell you who else checks all of the boxes. Natalie. This woman is cuckoo. Her bizarre monologue in the middle of dinner where she recites Shakespeare in Russian is just plain weird.
Мне страшно с тобой встречаться. Страшнее тебя не встречать.
Is this woman okay? Now, before we get to Chantel, Tyray, or any more of Natalie's bizarre behaviour, and believe me, there's a lot of it in this episode, let's begin with the fight. So this episode of The Single Life started where we left off, with Veronica holding her hands to her ears and singing la 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 la, while her boyfriend and best friend go head to head because of the drama that she caused.
You're way below the line.
No, dude,
You're
I
way
know the
below the
truth.
line.
I know the truth.
You don't know.
I'm sorry. This pissed me off.
I think it's very disrespectful for Jamal to say that or challenge my role as Chloe's dad.
Jamal walks away from the situation, and Tim is left feeling very disrespected. Rightly so. Jamal had no right bringing Tim's daughter Chloe into the fight. He had no right trying to undermine Tim's position as a father. But while there's no doubt that both men could have dealt with the situation much better, sorry, but the real stirrer here is Veronica. She's the one that's been telling Jamal all the negative things that Tim's been saying about him when she didn't need to.
He's crossing the boundaries a little bit.
I hate being in the middle of this. There's no way to win. I can't pick a side without somebody being upset.
Veronica, if you're stuck in the middle, it's because you're choosing to be. Here's an idea. How about you stop giving Tim the space to have such strong opinions about your partners? And how about you stop sharing his opinions about them to them? And while we're at it, maybe you might like to rethink the fact that you're dating a man a decade younger than you from a different state, who obviously isn't willing to put in as much effort as you are into this relationship. So as Jamal storms off, his friends check in on him and give their opinion on the whole situation.
Worrying about Tim, the daughter, the move. There's so many things.
It is a lot.
So many things.
But I like Veronica. It's cool.
Jamal's friends are right. He's bitten off more than he can chew with this relationship. He's clearly not taking it as seriously as Veronica is. Just take how he talks about Veronica, for example. I like her, he says. She's cool, but that's so passive, isn't it? That's not what you want your boyfriend to be saying about you. You'd hope that he'd have a bit stronger feelings than, yeah, she's cool. And it's this apathy that Tim is calling him out on.
If things don't change with me in such a relationship, that I don't really know if I'm gonna be here. Tim has been the biggest factor as to why I do have some doubts about living here.
Now, Jamal thinks that Tim isn't giving him a chance to be a good partner. He thinks Tim's judging him. He thinks Tim's trying to influence Veronica's opinion. But at the end of the day, even with Tim's disapproval, Veronica seems desperate to be with Jamal. She desperately wants him to move to Charlotte. It's Jamal who's the one that's holding back. So is it really Tim's opinions that are the problem? Well, when Jamal eventually calms down enough to rejoin the group, he shares his opinion.
Honestly, this just all got weird. I've been over here trying to be playing nice. Over it, man.
I'm really not sure why Jamal's the one sulking and pouting when he's the one that started the fight in the first place. But I guess that's his age and immaturity showing, right? Maybe Veronica isn't taking Tim's advice to heart enough. Maybe she should just end this relationship, like Tim says. But on that topic of taking things to heart, what's poor Tyray been up to?
I am 0-2 when it comes to meeting up with women I'm interested in. So my brother Ronald suggested we get out of town so I can meet some women in a new city.
Now, it's been a few weeks since Tyray was stood up on his date with Tiffany, and this experience has brought back unwanted memories of being catfished and stood up by Carmela when he flew out to meet her in Barbados. So it comes as no surprise that Tyray isn't exactly feeling his best right now. But his brothers have a plan of action in place to try and get Tyray to a better place mentally. And their plan is gonna involve a hell of a lot of wingmanning.
Going to New Orleans to party for my brother. We're trying to build his confidence up.
One of my top priorities for him for this weekend is trying to just get Tyray some kind of action.
I have the feeling this weekend is entirely going to revolve around giving Tyray a first. Whether that's a first kiss, a first experience holding a woman's hand, or maybe even having a first date. Now, whatever that first ends up being, what it certainly isn't intended to be is an opportunity for Tyray to fall headfirst into another serious relationship. That's not the way to do things. That's not what his brothers want for him. So as the boys fly out to New Orleans to check into their hotel, the ever-hopeful Tyray starts to romanticize what his first kiss might be like.
I envision my first, real kiss to be, on a boat with lights, the swan boats. It kind of reminds me of Little Mermaid.
There he goes again. Tyray has this habit of getting lost in his imagination. He dreams up these scenarios for himself that are just not gonna happen. The man lives in his head instead of living in reality. So much so that when his brother asks him what type of woman he's attracted to, he can't answer. He doesn't actually know. His women have always been in his head. They've always been imaginary. So he's incapable of pinpointing any physical or emotional attributes that he's looking for.
How are we supposed to help you if you can't give us no details of the type of women you like?
Women with like
'Cause I know you don't like everything.
Like, why did you like Carmela so much?
We had like a really good bond.
No, Tyray, you didn't have a good bond. She was fake. She was a he. He was catfishing you. It's so sad that he's still clinging on to that fallacy that there was a bond there. It seems so hard for him to accept that he was just being exploited for money. Now, when we later join the boys out and about enjoying a drink, Tyray definitely seems to appreciate the pretty girls that are sat next to them. But when his brothers encourage him to go and chat to them, it becomes very obvious that Tyray's own mind is his worst enemy.
I'm extremely intimidated when I see someone who's in really good shape because I don't want them to get the impression that I'm just this lazy fat guy who just eats burgers all day.
I find it really hard to believe that anyone would be so cruel as to say that directly to his face. The truth is, this seems like it's Tyray's own insecurities at play here. He's projecting his own insecurities onto pretty women. Now, while hitting the gym and losing weight might do wonders for Tyray's confidence, his journey in self-love is really going to be an uphill battle if that's how he sees himself. But, thankfully, with his brothers acting as wingmen, the boys approach the table, and Tyray tries to charm the ladies.
I was in a 4-year relationship with a man.
A man?
Not like that.
Tyray has just trauma dumped what happened to him onto these poor unsuspecting women. Yeah, I think his brothers now realise just how much help he's gonna need. And to add insult to injury, his brothers decide to pick out the only single girl and ask her to have a one-on-one conversation with Tyray. Luckily enough, the lady is nice enough, kind enough to say yes to this strange request.
I feel a lot of chemistry between the two of us. I'm not getting anything shallow from her. I'm getting real. We're kind of feeding off each other's energy. She's really pretty, really in really great shape, athletic.
All that this poor woman has done so far is sympathise with Tyray over his experience with being catfished. And from that, somehow, Tyray has determined that they have great chemistry. Now, in actual fact, the truth is, this woman was put on the spot by Tyray's brothers. She was asked to give him the time of day. She probably, if we're honest, she probably pities him a bit. But Tyray seems oblivious to that. He's daydreaming again.
Tyray is seriously a huge teddy bear. I think he's very genuine. I feel like I understand what he went through.
Now, I will give them this. The pair do manage to connect over their exes. Teresa opens up about the fact that she didn't even know the man she was married to. That despite the fact that they were together for many years. But, and I think it's a very significant point, she also keeps referring to Tyray as a teddy bear. If that's not an imminent sign of being friend-zoned, I don't know what is. Now, with that in mind, somehow, despite it all, Tyray does manage to get her to agree to meeting up with him again.
So, like, how can we contact each other? Anyway.
I mean, phone number.
All right.
Yeah, if you got your phone.
Way to go, Tyray. Good job. He's managed to get a girl's number, and it's still only his first day in town. Now, yes, okay, it may have been out of pity, but hey, he doesn't seem to care. Now, from someone who worries too much about how he's perceived to someone who doesn't care at all, let's check in on Natalie. So, from the looks of things, Josh is living up to his promise. He really is looking after Natalie and her mum in LA. After helping her with her apartment, he's also bought her a new car, and now he's organised a job interview for her.
So he has set up for me a job interview with his cousin. It's a chiropractic studio, and they're looking to fulfill administrator position, and I don't have any money.
LA's expensive, right? And Natalie has, how shall I put this? She has unrealistic goals of being a model or an actress. So until such time as she fulfills those pipe dreams, she's just gonna have to get a job like the rest of us. Now, I get it. No one likes job interviews, but it's not exactly like Natalie hasn't had a job before. Like, you'd presume she must have had a job interview before, right? But you'd never guess it, especially seeing how unprepared she is as she arrives at Josh's cousin's practice for the interview.
If I were to talk to the people that know you the best, what would they say?
Josh would say, I'm needy.
That's not how you play this game, Natalie. That's not what you say at a job interview. Way to put your best foot forward. In fact, way to bring your personal life into your professional life. But, believe it or not, this is all about to get a whole lot worse. You see, Natalie decides to cut Adam's interview short. She really has no concept of professional and personal boundaries. She tells Adam she's delighted to meet someone who's related to Josh. And then she goes on to say,
Excuse me, being like more kind of personal, but have you met his mother of his second child?
I have not.
I think it's safe to say Natalie isn't gonna get this job. But as Adam politely tells her that he'll be in touch, Natalie's time for worrying is very short-lived, because just a few days later, she's hosting her first ever dinner party at her new apartment, and she's got some very exciting guests coming. So as she cooks up a storm in the kitchen with her mum, she fills her in.
Друг, который придет, он не просто друг с девушкой, он продюсер.
Да ты что?
Да, у меня есть шанс получить роль, мама.
Naturally, Natalie's excited. After all, she does want to be an actress. So as the guests arrive, they really do look like an odd party, with Josh, his friend's girlfriend, Natalie, and then of course, Natalie's mum who can't speak English. But language barriers aside, everyone seems to be having a good night. They enjoy the traditional Ukrainian food that Natalie's prepared. But then, Natalie switches into work mode.
I know that you're a very great producer and I watched some of your movies and I really love. I dream to be in a movie. I actually wanted to read your Shakespeare.
Yep, that's right. In a totally bizarre, totally unhinged turn of events, Natalie's now using this dinner party as an opportunity to audition for one of Josh's friends' films. Her choice of audition? A memorised excerpt of Shakespeare, performed, of course, in Russian.
Мне страшно с тобой встречаться. Страшнее тебя не встречать.
This is absolutely terrifying, Natalie. But you know what makes this even scarier? Somehow, weirdly, it works. After her moving performance, Josh's friend tells her that they're casting for a role in a horror movie and she should audition. Yeah, a horror movie. I wonder what it was about her performance that creeped him out. But I guess it does go to show Natalie's initiative was rewarded and Josh is proud of her.
I wasn't expecting the Shakespeare monologue in the middle of the dinner, but, you know, it took guts for what she did to come out and actually do that in front of the table, in front of everybody.
The fact that Josh isn't even slightly remotely embarrassed by this situation maybe goes to show that he and Natalie might actually be a good match. The poor guy seems to have a lot of tolerance for pain and cringe. Now, talking about being a good match, let's join Chantel on her search for love with a Greek football player.
My first date with Giannis felt special. He was romantic, and I feel like I almost got to the place where I felt like the Chantel before I met Pedro.
Chantel's been a bit all over the place this season. Having only just finalised her divorce from Pedro, she's on this trip with her friends to try and find love. But it seems a bit fast, doesn't it? Like, take some time out, Chantel. Date around, meet some people, work out what you really want. Just whatever you do, don't go falling for the first guy that you meet. But for some unfathomable reason, especially considering how little chemistry they seem to have, Chantel is determined to escalate things with Giannis.
I'm not ready for a one-night stand in Greece, but I was secretly hoping for a kiss, but I was too scared to make the first move.
Now, Chantel tells us that she's not ready to be intimate with anyone. She's looking for love, but she doesn't want to be active in the bedroom, which of course is totally fair enough. Only I hope she makes that clear to Giannis, because tonight, as he's invited Chantel and her friends to hang out on the beach, it becomes very apparent that Giannis has his eyes set on her. He's trying to weigh up whether or not this could develop into more than just a holiday fling.
Για μένα είναι πολύ σημαντικό το ότι έχει ίδια ιδεολογία για την οικογένεια, για τη θρησκεία. Είναι πάρα πολύ σημαντικά αυτά.
Keep in mind, Giannis and Chantel have only met twice. Once at a nightclub surrounded by people and loud music, and once last night during their very awkward date. It seems incredibly early for Giannis to be focusing on these intense topics of conversation, but it seems like neither of them wants to waste time. So he and Chantel head off to have a private chat, and Chantel asks him what he wants to get from dating.
Have family, have kids, yeah.
You want kids?
Yeah, of course.
When?
I have to find the right person,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, I could take yours.
Yeah.
Giannis tells Chantel that she has some of the qualities that he's looking for in a person he'd want to build a life with. But Chantel's concerned. You see, she's worried that biologically she's running out of time to have children. Now, she is only 32 years old. You'd think she still has time, but clearly this topic is causing her a lot of anxiety. And I think that might go quite some distance into explaining why she's on this mad rush to try and find her soulmate so soon after getting divorced.
My ideal guy would be an orphan.
Oh no.
Because I can't deal with family drama.
I don't agree with that. My family is very important to me.
Given how soon this is after her divorce, it shouldn't really come as a surprise that Chantel is still clearly holding on to the memories and the scars of her relationship with Pedro and his family. Now, she makes this passing joke about how her ideal man would be an orphan, but that joke doesn't really land with Giannis. Now, instead of seeing this as a sign that maybe they're not as compatible as they think they are, instead, conversation suddenly turns a lot more serious.
Would you come and stay here?
It's so pretty. I'm not sure. I don't know. Are you gonna give me a reason to?
Oh, come on guys, you've only met 3 times. This is not normal. It's not normal to ask someone to uproot their lives, leave their friends and family and come and live on a Greek island with you. Chantel is obviously not going to move to Greece. This entire relationship just feels so forced. It's like they're both desperately trying to make things work when we can all see they're not a good match. But that doesn't stop them from desperately trying.
I can give you, and a good one.
Okay.
Now, Chantel may be acting like she's been swept off her feet, but come on now, let's not pretend that this is anything more serious than a fun holiday fling. There's nothing wrong with that, Chantel. In fact, that's precisely what you need right now. So why are you pretending otherwise? You see, Chantel says she thinks she might be setting herself up for heartbreak again. And for as sad as that sounds, if she's gonna keep on pretending like Giannis is her next big thing, then she's probably gonna turn out to be right.